the intent of the Constitution is achieved.
So we can blame you for that. Can we also blame you for 2/3 gender rule and referendum laws, their absence?
You can probably ask my colleagues and I to share some blame on, say, like the referendum law. But Chairman and members of the panel, without running away, the laws were not initiated by CIC. The laws were initiated by the executive. So if a law was not initiated by the executive, there's very little that as CIC we could do. What I would more readily accept blame for, and I think it's just a question of benefit of hindsight, there are laws when we look back, including even the Elections Act, but that's just a question of hindsight is always 2020, and one of the unfortunate, regrettable things was that Parliament had the option to extend the life of the Commission, and we even, as commissioners at that time, offered to Parliament that, look, if there's an issue with the commissioners, us, we are ready to, because our term is coming to an end, but we think that you should do one of two things. Either extend the mandate of CIC, which the Constitution gives you the power to do, or if you don't want to extend the mandate of CIC, then identify another body and find a way of giving it a constitutional underpinning. And here we were probably looking at something like the Kenya Law Reform Commission, because it would have been important to have a body that continued to review the laws and look at anything that may have fallen through the process. And as I say, hindsight is always perfect vision. And if that had happened, I dare say that some of the laws now, not just around the elections, but generally, which have issues, those issues would have been probably addressed by now.
Fair enough. My final question on the introduction is, this is a very onerous position you're asking for. You resigned from a judicial position that does not have a similar pressure like this. Are we going to have our chairman resign before end of day?
Chair and members of the panel, not at all. Allow me to explain in a couple of minutes why I resigned from the East African Court of Justice. The East African Court of Justice is established as the judicial organ of the East African community. It's an ad hoc court, means it's not full-time, and it operates to a certain calendar. I think it is not unfair for me to say, because I think it's a matter of public notoriety, that the East African community for the last few years has struggled almost to the point of becoming dysfunctional. So that you had a situation where you have an ad hoc court with a calendar, 4 sessions in a year. Each session, as it approaches, is cancelled because there are financial issues within the community. And when this happened for practically the whole of 2023, I said to myself, I'm not being fair to myself. I'm not being fair to the people of East Africa, because all this time, Chair and members of the panel, every month I am earning $2,000 for doing nothing. Because it's called the intersessional something that you get paid every month. So I thought long and hard, and I decided that I was not adding value to the people of East Africa by remaining in a court which is hardly operating. So I then took the step of bringing my concerns to the appointing authority, who the President of the Republic of Kenya, and saying, this is not working. I really would appreciate if I can get the opportunity to resign and do other things.
Enough.
And that's why. So the answer to your question is I do not anticipate those sort of problems if you are to give me the chance to be chair of the commission, so the issue wouldn't arise.
So if Parliament doesn't approve budget that you present, will you be pushed to do?
You see, chairperson, I do not foresee a day when the commission will actually grind to zero, not able to operate at all. What could happen if there are delays or budget cuts and so on is that there are certain parts of the mandate which, but a day, I do not anticipate a day when Parliament will completely, there is no, which is what was happening in Arusha. There is no money, and it wasn't so much about the money. It is a question of what then am I doing here? You see, most of my colleagues, the judges of the East African Court of Justice, are also judges in the national court, their respective national courts. So if you put off the session, it's a bit inconvenient, but they just go on. There is a service they're delivering in the national courts. For those of us who are not engaged at the national level, but just went there on that ad hoc basis, I felt that it was not right to continue, especially, as I say, when you're continuing to earn an intersessional allowance and you're doing nothing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Madam Linda, please. Kindly.
Thank you very much, Chair. Honorable Justice Nyachae, the IEBC Commission constitutes